Hey guys, today I will be reviewing Noah and the Whales album, First Days of Spring. So the band itself, to give a little bit of context, was at this time, right before the release of the album, dealing with to pursue a solo career, and she was 3 days prior to the release of this album. Drummer David Finkel, who is the brother of lead vocalist and founding member Charlie Finkel, told the band that he was leaving to pursue a degree in field in medicine. This album becomes both a reflection on the loss that they felt for their band members, as well as for the general audience, listeners such as you and I, a chance to experience heartbreak in a cathartic way that deals with both peaks and troughs of love and loss. Certain songs indicate either troughs or peaks. And it starts off with these wonderful violin strings that just play upon the feeling of heartbreak, that initial pricking of having to come to terms with, losing somebody. And then that builds into this robust sound that just explodes. And in the second song, Our Window, which is the artist describing this relationship that happened and looking back on what worked about it and the beautifulness of being able to, in the midst of everything going on, just sit next to the person they love and look up at the stars. And that moment you feel the lyrics, the song, everything is so soft, as if they paint. You have this beautiful open sky at night, and for a moment everything feels okay. And then from there, the album begins to transition back person, so that makes it even more connected. And the stars are shining through our window. And as quickly as that peak makes you smile, it immediately is feeling drained through the song and through the instruments themselves. So it's really that loss and makes it more reflective, similar to a past memory. My broken heart is their own heart that is going through that heartbreak. And that's a beautifully painful thing to experience and to be able to listen and feel. And the band, through all of their work, all of their genius working cohesively together, they are able to convey what My Broken Heart feels and sounds like. We are then thrown into this where there are two instrumental tracks that are on either side of the song Love of an Orchestra. And Love of an Orchestra is this beautiful peak that comes after we've fully addressed what My Broken Heart feels like. And what Love of an Orchestra does a great job of conveying the hope that somebody has when they love, or when they have those go through these wonderfully high harmonized choruses that you're healing, that there is something going on inside in My Broken Heart, that you start furthering your journey as an individual. It's beautiful when somebody's in love. It could be raining and they'll still be smiling. They'll be singing in the rain. Um, as I two instrumental tracks are this great buffer that allows that transition from My Broken Heart into Love is an Orchestra, where we go from a trough to a peak. And then from Love is an Orchestra, we come back down from a peak to a trough, and that is in Stranger. Now, in my paper, I didn't describe this as much, but when I have been listening and doing more research, the song Stranger, I think, actually belongs in both categories as a peak and a trough. Where I think it is a trough is that for about the first 3.5 minutes of the song, it is this moment where somebody is describing just having a sexual experience with somebody that is a stranger. And they've done that after just talking about how deep down a love of an orchestra, having these huge emotions that can only be created by an orchestra, that is what our heart is then flipped on its head, because that is completely contrasted where nothing, the history between the two of you doesn't exist. And it's not to say that you can't have fun. That's not the point of the album, and that's not my point either. It's that they, in the first 3.5 minutes, use the song Stranger to convey those feelings of dissatisfaction that one feels when you choose pleasure of skin over the emotional bandwidth of the heart. And that's a very real thing that I think a lot of people go through. And culturally fast, in the same time, this notion of traditionalism moving into modern society, develop and change in society post the 3.5 minute mark starts to actually sound optimistic, because it is reflective on the fact that they've clearly established in the beginning of the song that this is not something that's good, not something that, I shouldn't say good, but something that's not fulfilling, something that leaves their heart aching, looking for something to take the void of the space left by losing somebody you love. And so it becomes optimistic. It becomes hopeful that, okay, I've clearly realized that I'm not happy being with just some random person. I want something that has more weight to it, that has more importance, where two people feel the same way about each other. And that's what the second part of the song Stranger does, which is why it's both a peak and a trough. As Stranger starts to wrap up, we move into what I'd say is my favorite part of the album, which is the last third. The songs Blue Skies, Slow Glass, and My Door Is Always Open are, in their own right, entire explorations of aspects of heartbreak. They deal with so many different parts of it. Here are some lines from Blue Skies that I like to read. Lines is, "This is a song for anyone who can't get out of bed. This is a song for anyone who has a broken heart." So what's the fact that they make it relatable to each person that makes it so strong? And that is further pushed with this next line in the lyrics, that is, "I will do anything to be happy because blue skies are coming." And then right after contrasting that with the "but I know it's hard," there is this wonderful symphony of sounds that is highlighted by this uplifting keyboard that is just pounded. It feels like the fingers, you can almost picture the artist just slamming them down as if somebody were typing on their computer really ba 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 ba. It's just ba 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 ba. It's very, very powerful, very energetic, and it hits right into the core of who we are as humans, and looking for emotional response from people that we care about. And then the imagery of blue skies and what that means for people as this hopeful beacon is so effective in conveying coming to terms with losing somebody you love. How it goes back and forth between troughs and peaks, or explores the trough a little bit longer, like it did earlier with the songs "I Have Nothing in My Broken Heart." Each of those songs, especially "Slow Glass" and "My Door Is Always Open," they both explore and give voice to the exploration of being okay to be angry and hurt still. How in "Slow Glass," I mean, you're basically, that whole song is, if you could watch something in hindsight slowly dissipate until all you can say is metaphor for how people grieve, or how they get to a point after grief where they're looking back on a life experience or somebody in their life that was clearer because it's slowed down. It's become to a point where it's easy to understand. And then in the final song, My Door is Always Open. So let's think of this as a three-part song. Part one happens from the very beginning all the way up to 2 minutes and 46 seconds. And that is somebody talking about how even though they're moving on and they're never going to forget somebody, that door, those feelings are always going to be there. They're always present. So my door is always open. I don't know if that almost feels like they're saying they don't know if something's ever going to happen again, and not that they're necessarily hoping it will, but that they're not ready to completely push somebody that was important to them out of their life. And then that coming to terms with having to let go of somebody, because even if you want to say my door is always open, this other person doesn't want to be in your life anymore. And so then in that second trough, it transitions from being less of a plea to being very honest hurt, and being unable to forgive somebody, or trying to come to terms with forgiving, but struggling with that. And that is what the mark from time mark 316 to 339. And that is that's the moment where it seems like you actually hear the hurt being directly communicated to the other. And I think that's part of what heartbreak is. You reach a point where you can honestly look back on whatever it was with this other person, and you can see the good and you can see the bad, and you can explicitly state it as either, hey, I hurt you for this and I am sorry, or hey, you hurt me and I hope you realize that. And there's something beautiful in being able to come to terms with those moments, because they are vulnerable states that humanity is always dealing with throughout an everyday life. Anybody in humanity deals with these emotions, but very few tell both sides of the story honestly. And I think that's what this band did, and that is encapsulated from 3:40 till 4:22, which leaves somewhere between 6 to 8 seconds left at the end, where it is just about pure silence. And that silence sits with you as you finish the album. And there's something beautiful about that silence, because for a journey that's taking you to both extremes of love and loss, the good and the bad, the ugly and the wonderfully attractive aspects of it are meshed together and are highlighted by the hopefulness that is communicated through the music and through the vocal and choral backup vocals that just create this almost otherworldly experience where it feels like the music transcends our planet, and our hopes, and everything moves up into the sky. Then that hope of letting go is the beautiful cathartic experience of going through heartbreak. Songs that really connect with the emotional journey that you'll experience when you do go through a heartbreak. I hope you check them out, because I think you'll probably cry. By the end, you won't be able to not smile. And if you can do both those things in one album, especially one that explores heartbreak, then that sounds like a job well done. Thank you.